In this video, we're going to go from this to this by the end of the video. Hi, I'm Donna from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com, and I'm here to help you with practical tips and solutions so you get the most out of your music, performance, and improvisation. In previous videos, I showed you how to develop a 2-5-1 lick in major, starting from a very basic lick that outlined the chords all the way to adding scale tones and even chromaticism. And I showed you which scale choices there are for major and minor 2-5-1 progressions. In this video, we're going to go from zero to hero with a minor 2-5-1 lick. Now, if you want the PDF for the examples that I'm playing, subscribe to my Patreon site at patreon.com/DonnaSchwartzMusic, where you're also going to get dozens of other video lessons with more licks. First important point I really need to make, and it's a mindset shift. When you have a 2-5-1 progression that either resolves to a minor one or not even resolve at all because it's part of a series of successive 2-5-1s, the minor chord will usually be spelled as a minor 7 flat 5. The minor 2 chord will be spelled as a minor 7 flat 5. Here's the part you need to pay attention to. Even if it's not written that way, 99% of the time it will still be a minor 7 flat 5 for the 2 chord. Why? Let's take a look at our basic lick that we're going to be developing and pay close attention to what's going on. We're going to be in concert C minor. There's 3 flats in there. Now our basic 2-5-1 lick will use the chords D minor 7 flat 5, G7 flat 9, and C minor as the resolving 1 chord. Now I mentioned our first chord, the 2 chord, is D minor 7 flat 5. Sometimes you may see it written as D minor 7. Now I mentioned in previous theory videos that when we spell chords, we follow formulas and we spell from the chord's root letter name. So let's say it's just written as D minor 7. We would have to make the 5 an A natural in order to make it follow the formula of 1, flat 3, 5, flat 7, right? But when we play that A natural against this chord in this particular minor progression with my backing track, it clashes. Take a listen. Now, if I play that same progression but spell it as D minor 7 flat 5, the formula is 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7, listen to how it sounds now. Much better, right? Let me know in the comments below. In this case, because it's the 2-5-1 of the original key, there's no extra flats or naturals. But you still need to follow that formula of 1, flat 3, flat 5, flat 7. To explain this point further, because I get tons of questions about this all the time, let's say I have in this same tune a temporary key center of E flat minor, even though the tune's in C minor. That would look like this if the chords were F minor 7 flat 5 to B flat 7 flat 9 to E minor, E flat minor. So I put this example in to drive home the concept that you need to look at the progression, look at what it's implying, and not be stuck thinking you have to follow the key signature of the whole song when you spell chords. You've got to follow the formula. All right, and again, I've explained this before in previous video. The link is in the description below. All right, getting back to developing this minor 2-5-1 lick. Step 1, write out the chord tones if you need. Play them and really listen to how they sound against the chords. It really is best to use a backing track, and for this video lesson, I'm using one by Quist. The link is in the description below. Step 2, create a chord tone solo and play it against a backing track. Ideally, you'd want to create one without writing it out first. But if you're really stuck, then write one out. Play it with a backing track. Write out another variation. Play that one with the backing track. Just rinse and repeat. Keep doing it over and over again. Here's an example. you've created a few examples, step 3 is creating scale note choice examples. There's 2 ways to look at this, but before we get there, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and tap that notification bell so you know when new videos come out every week. The first way involves us being aware of which scales go best over these particular chords. Now, we should be doing this step anyway because we should be aware of the scale choices. By the way, if you've not seen my previous video on which scale choices for 2-5-1 progressions, be sure to click on the link in the description below to understand this next step more fully. For the D minor 7 flat 5, that 2 chord, we have 2 choices that depend on the melody. The first choice is the Locrian mode, the 7th mode of a major scale. In this case, meaning D Locrian, which is like me playing an E flat scale starting on D. Second choice for the D minor 7 flat 5 is to use the C harmonic minor scale, but start on the 2nd degree of the scale, the D. Now your question to me may be, well, what if there is no melody? I mean, you don't have a melody here. Yeah, you're right, I'm just playing with a backing track. So how do I know, which scale note choices are going to sound good? Or even, in some respects, which chord tone choices are going to sound good? You have to use your ears. And the best way to do that, listen to a lot of songs that are in minor keys. Listen to the melodies, listen to how they relate to the chord tone choices, listen to what the soloists are doing. This is where transcribing would be really helpful because the thing is this, if you don't have enough experience hearing songs in minor keys, you're really not going to know. You're not going to tell the difference, be able to tell the difference between whether that 5 should be a flat 5 or the natural 5. Okay, and when we get into the scales, whether the harmonic minor will sound better than the melodic minor or the natural minor. It's just a question of experience, being patient, listening to more songs, actively listening, and experimenting playing those notes against those chords and starting to see which ones clash more and which ones don't clash as much. For the G7 flat 9, we've got a couple of choices there too. We can use a half-whole diminished scale or a G altered scale. It's going to be your choice as to which one you want to use, and again, the melody is going to dictate. Now for the C minor chord, I could just play a C natural minor scale. Often, though, that minor 1 chord will be implied to have a major 7, so the chord would be written C minor parentheses major 7. Now again, depending on the melody, you could play a harmonic or melodic minor scale over that last chord, that C minor 7. I'm going to play this progression with the 3 possible scale choices for the C minor chord at the end. Okay, back to the lick now. Here's an example of developing that original lick using scale note choices. I'm going to use the Locrian, altered, and melodic minor scales for the first example. Then I'm going to go right into the Locrian, half-whole diminished, and harmonic minor for the second example. Now here's another way to look at this. Since this progression is a 2-5-1 that's resolving to minor, right, C minor, you could just use the pitches from the C harmonic minor scale and just emphasize the appropriate chord tones for each chord. Now I'm not going to lie, this is the easiest way to think of it. But you know what? In order to really hear those changes and to really know which notes to emphasize, going through and figuring out the chord tone choices, the chord tones, and the scale choices for all the chords is the best way to go. And now it's up to you. Start working on this progression in minor, and you know what? Let us know how you do in the comments below. And if you got a lot out of this video, give it a like, share it, and head on over to my Patreon site at patreon.com/DonnaSchwartzMusic, where you're going to get more video lessons like this, plus a lot more licks and searchable transcripts. As always, thanks so much for taking time out of your day to watch. On that note, take care. Have a great day.